Hi, Jim Carson here from Blackstock Ford Lincoln, and today it's a very special day for me. It's one of my favorite places to come and visit. I have with me Heather Hayes, the director of the Orangeville Food Bank, and welcome, Heather.
Thank you so much for coming, Jim.
Thank you, and I just wanted to give sort of people a behind-the-scenes look at the food bank on the types of services you offer and what it takes for an organization. So how many volunteers are with the Orangeville Food Bank, Heather?
So we are lucky enough to have 150 volunteers support the Orangeville Food Bank. And last year they donated 23,000 hours, which works out to 11 full-time positions.
That is a big organization. And in terms of the size of the community that you service, how many what's the typical client base for the Orangeville Food Bank?
So we serve Orangeville and the surrounding areas. So we're heading out into East Garifraxa, out to Alton, over to Mono, a little bit one side road away from Caledon East. So we have a fairly big catchment area here at the food bank. And we also support about 15 different agencies in our area, some small food pantries, some smaller food banks, as well as organizations like Family Transition Place, Community Living Dufferin, the Lighthouse, and those organizations, and make sure that they get food that they need to support their clients every month.
It's a big area. Well, let's start with taking us around here, and
sure.
Maybe we can talk about some of the things that the food bank offers for its clients and some of the things that you need to
Absolutely.
make your system work all year round. Okay, so
perfect.
Show us around.
So behind you, you will see fresh fruits and vegetables. This is one of the most important things that we offer here at the food bank. Mostly, if you need canned goods and things like that, you can find them at the dollar store for a reasonable price. What you can't find is vegetables and fruits and things like that. And so every year when we do our survey with clients and we ask them, what would you need the most from us? The top 3 things that we'll always get is milk and eggs, meats or proteins, and fresh fruits and vegetables. So this is one of the most important things that we do. And we actually purchase this. We purchase the milk, we purchase the eggs. We're into purchasing proteins now, as well as fresh fruits and vegetables. So when you're making donations to the food bank, this is one of the most important things that you can do. And then as you head over here, you can see that we have things that you might not think about here at the food bank. So we get flour and sugar and salt, but I would never have enough to give somebody an entire container of salt or an entire container of sugar. So it gets broken down into smaller amounts so that we can share with everybody. But there's other things that you don't think about. Things like spices. We get a lot of chickpeas and lentils and things like that. They are an excellent source of protein. But if you don't have the spices to make them taste good, although there's always one in a crowd who tells me they eat raw chickpeas out of a can, always. But anyways, spices are really important. The other thing that you don't think about is name a recipe or an entree that you make that doesn't start with a fat of some kind. An oil, coconut oil, ghee, butter, that kind of thing. This is something we never get. We have it on the shelf right now because it's Christmas, and food banks really are celebrated between sort of September and to December, but the other 9 months of the year, we're still feeding the exact same amount of people who have the exact same amount of needs. So remembering the food bank throughout the year really ensures that I can make sure we have oil on the shelf, or things like condiments, which you don't think about. People do their shopping here first for the basics, and then these are nice to haves, but hygiene comes there, then it's cleaning supplies, and then it's nice to haves like this. We shop based on points. So people come in, they shop for their own groceries, they're using their own grocery cart. Somebody is helping them track points, so there's not as much handling of the food, and they get points based on how many people are in their family, and they do their own shopping. You can see that the points are listed on the shelf. A pink says that we have a limit on it because we wouldn't have enough to give everybody full sizes of those things.
So things like the milk and the meat and the produce, would that be, cash donations would be important to support that for you?
Absolutely.
All right.
So right now, I can provide a child 4 liters of milk a month. That has gone up. When I first started, it was 1 liter of milk a month. And then we had the support of people like the Baker Group, the 100 Women Who Care, the Nurses Association have all supported us in purchasing milk. But still, 4 liters of milk, a child goes through so much more than that in a thing. So that's what we need the finances for, to make sure that we have access to that. And I would love to increase my milk allotment, but I need consistent funding to do that.
Got it. Well, let's have a look around at some of the other stuff here and some of the processes you use. Thanks, Heather.
Awesome.
Heather, so you mentioned Hygiene, and I didn't think of Hygiene as the food bank, but it's really important, isn't it?
Absolutely. So at this food bank, we guarantee 5 hygiene items. We guarantee razors, toothbrush, toothpaste, feminine hygiene, shampoo, as well as toilet paper. So those are things that you don't think about, but they're absolute necessities, and they're really expensive. Toothpaste these days is out of the sky right now. I think it's $3 or $4 at least on sale for a container of toothpaste. So these are things that people don't think about. Again, very fortunate that Shoppers Drug Mart as well as 100 Women Who Care have provided us funding in the past for feminine hygiene, but it's so important. None of us get away scot-free on that one until you hit the magical 50. Woohoo! And then when you look over here, we look at cleaning supplies. So this is what I can offer somebody for dish soap once a month, and I can offer somebody this much laundry soap once a month. It's not enough. And laundry is very expensive. When you think about somebody living on a limited income, laundry is $5 a wash and $5 a dry at a laundromat if you don't have those facilities where you live.
Wow.
Somebody who lives on OW gets $749 a month all in. Probably a one-room bedroom in a rooming house is running between $700 and $800 a month. This is very expensive.
This looks like something the job the volunteers would handle as well.
Absolutely. So volunteers break this product down, as well as they break down the feminine hygiene products for us so that we can do mixtures. And they also take care of pet food for us. So we distribute pet food for cats and dogs and that sort of thing. It's very difficult for people who have pets, because for some people it may be the only thing that's in their life, or a family that's recently lost their job. How are you telling the children that Mr. Fluffy's going away? And so what we discovered was people were using the human food on the shelf to be able to feed their pets. Yeah. So this is equally as important to people, yeah, to make sure that their pets are taken care of.
Well, there's so many great ideas you're giving me here that I'm sure people watching this can get from things that they can easily donate. So,
absolutely.
Yeah, and not perishable either. Right?
No, absolutely. And,
yeah,
and they're such important things. In particular, in a pandemic, this is the extent of my cleaning supplies today. I don't have any sanitizer for counters other than the wipes. I don't have toilet bowl cleaner, that kind of thing. And this pandemic has highlighted for us the need for those kinds of cleaners in a home. And this is what I have today.
Very good. Let's have a look at the next step.
Sure.
Heather, I see some of my favorites here, the KD and the baked beans, but we have a lot of different cultures in our community. And tell us a little bit about the importance of addressing the cultural needs.
Absolutely. So non-perishables come in lots of different forms for us, but one of the things that we're really concerned about right now is that as our community diversifies and becomes more culturally rich, individual cultures need different kinds of foods in order to feel like their needs are being met as well. So we're looking for specific things for individuals that come from an indigenous culture base. We're looking for foods for people who come from a South Asian or a Southeast Asian background. And then you look at the fantastic Syrian refugees that have come to our area and might need a little bit more support as they become acclimatized. So those are the kinds of cultures that we want to make sure that we have those foods available for them. We have an actual section these days now for international foods that people can access. And we're doing more research on what it is so if I think about breakfast, I'm a shredded wheat girl all day long, but people from a Syrian background probably don't eat shredded wheat for breakfast. And again, if you were to give me a box of Captain Crunch or something like that, I'm not going to eat it, right? It's just not something I'm used to. Yeah. So we want to make sure that we have the appropriate foods to meet people's needs from all cultures and all groups.
And one other thing about that, you mentioned the non-perishables, but in terms of the perishables, I suppose people mean well, but bringing you stuff that's close to its expiry date, or hopefully not after its expiry date, that just creates a problem for you, right?
It really does. So we appreciate everybody's best intentions when they come and donate to the food bank. But one of the challenges that we have is that a lot of the food that we get, I can't actually distribute to clients because it's way past its best before date. The second year I was here, I sorted a box of Kraft dinner or Kraft pasta salad mix, and the date on it was January 29th of 1980. So cleaning out your pantry it works for you, but how would I give out something like that to a client? I don't even know that it's safe to consume. So we actually follow Food Bank Canada's safe food handling guidelines. And so any food that comes in a year past its best before date is actually distributed, if we can, to a raccoon rescue, to some animal rescues that are in our area as well. If the food is from today's date back 1 year, we put that on the honor counter, and that has no points attached to it. People can choose that stuff if they want to, but they don't have to. Everything that you see on the shelves has had its best before date checked. We have an incredible crew in the warehouse who checks this for us, because dignity has to be at the heart of everything that we do here. And if you wouldn't eat it, people coming to the food bank won't eat it too. And the other challenge is—
Nor should they have to.
No, they shouldn't. And the other challenge is people come to the food bank and their health isn't perhaps in the same state that ours is. Individuals who've lived in poverty for a long time will probably die 20 years earlier than we will because of the lack of access to medical food or medical care and the types of healthy and nutritious foods. They just don't have the same kind of access. So it's so important for us to make sure that everything we distribute will not impact anybody in a negative way.
Well, that's a lot of great information. Let's get close to wrapping this up. Let's go in the back and just have a look at how things are handled in the shipping and receiving department and get a good idea of just the kind of organization that it takes to run the food bank.
Absolutely, thank you.
Okay, so back here again with Heather Hayes. Now we're in the sorting area, loading or shipping area, also the big walk-in freezers back here. So tell us what goes on here, Heather.
So we're lucky enough to have an incredible crew in the warehouse that helps us check out best before dates. So this food here needs to be sorted. All the best before dates are looked at, and then it's divided into the categories it needs to be. The boxes on the bottom of this shipping or this row here, those will end up on what we call the dance floor, which is the warehouse where we hold food. The secondary boxes on top are things we wouldn't really get enough of to have a dedicated column to them, except for this time of the year. And in the back here, these are sort of softer items. So the glass jars, soft packaging, cleaning supplies. And then this is the food that would probably be dedicated to the raccoons and to the rescues here. And then behind us, we're lucky enough to have a huge walk-in cooler, which was added to the building when we moved. Whoops, and I will carefully turn the light on. So it doesn't look like much. In the summertime, this will be overflowing with food. It's super important to us. Last year, we were able to distribute 275,000 pounds of perishable foods because we had a cooler this size, and on the opposite wall, we actually have a freezer that is equal size. And that allows us to hold vegetables and milk and eggs and proteins to be able to distribute. And as I said before, those are the three things that people are looking for us, or looking to us to distribute. Loud noise, there we go.
So there's just so much going on, and it's, I guess, should not be surprising what it takes to run a food bank. But sort of give us an idea of the diversity of volunteers that help make this run. What are the types of things, types of jobs that maybe you wouldn't normally think of? I know about the distribution, but what are the other areas that people can help the food bank with their time?
So we have a huge crowd of volunteers that with an incredible diverse set of skills. So in the back, we've got the guys who manage the loading docks, who do the pickups for us, who make sure that food is distributed for deliveries. Coming in here, these guys are in charge of the warehouse, of the sorting, of understanding best before dates, and understanding the packaging. And then as you move farther out front, we've got volunteers that will help us with clients. They'll do intake, which is akin to sort of a social services kind of background there. We have people who help us with admin. finance. We have people who help us with tech skills, because anybody knows me, not my skill set. I'm in social services for a reason. So they give us a hand with that. So pretty much anything that you could think an organization might need, we have a need for that. People don't think of us as a large organization. We have 3 staff members now. But last year we moved about 500,000 pounds of food in and out of the food bank. We support 2 different programs, one for Food and Friends, which is the nutrition program, as well as HCIA, Headwaters Communities in Action, does a program for us as well, plus supporting our community food partners, making sure that they get the food that they need, and then supporting clients. We work very hard to connect with all agencies in our area so that anybody in crisis or not in crisis, just needing food support, can come here and access our service.
Well, Heather, it's our pleasure to play a small role in supporting the food bank, and you do such a great essential service for our community. And I'd like to encourage anybody watching there that if you have time and you'd like to volunteer, there's a process to go through, there's some background checks and things like that to do, but it is well worth it. It's very, very rewarding, and if you want to make a donation to the food bank, please consider the different cultural needs, please consider a cash donation, and please consider giving healthy, desirable foods and hygiene products. And people like Heather Hayes and her amazing team here will make sure that it gets out to people who are in need. And if you are in need of the food bank, please take advantage of it. It is a great system, and it'll help lower the stress in your family during times of crisis, help keep everybody healthy and happy. And it's just a great part of our community. So I want to thank you very much, Heather.
Thank you very much, Jim. And I appreciate that you touched on how you could access the food bank. The only criteria that you have for the food bank is that you live in our area. And even if you don't the first time, please come in, see us. We'll make sure that you get fed, and then we'll give you the resources for your community. And it's really important. We refer to this as a bank. It's a food bank. Sometimes you make deposits and sometimes you make withdrawals. And we'll all hit times in our lives where we could use a little bit more support. And we know that there are individuals and families out there who really struggle to access the food bank. Please come and see us. We have a lot of laugh and fun here, and we're here to support you because we are a community-based service. And the second thing I wanted to say was, most people don't know that Jim and your people support us and do weekly deliveries for us out in the community. So I need to thank you for all you're doing for the community, because you're flying under the radar in some of those places. And without your drivers and your employees, we would not be able to do what we do. So thank you so very much.
Well, thank you. Well, that does it for now. On behalf of Blackstock Ford Lincoln, Orangeville Quick Lane, Bad Dog Mods, and Westside Buggy Bath, I want to thank you for watching, and please support the food bank. Thank you.